Bowling Green, South Central, Western, and the entire Commonwealth of Kentucky. Come on in. We have something to talk about. My name is Jimmy Martin, and you may be familiar with me from my previous works on an awesome podcast, BGFC Weekly. That podcast taught me so much about working in media, about running a podcast, writing a podcast, producing, editing, all things related to the podcast world. But that podcast was only focused on one team. So after a long fall season and a lot of thinking and soul searching, I decided to branch out. I decided to do something on my own, to step out. I've never stepped out like this in my entire life. So I decided to create a brand new podcast, Bluegrass Soccer Cast. Now you may be wondering, what's the difference? Why are you leaving the Golden Lions? And maybe some other questions. If you have other questions, make sure you drop them down below. First off, we're not cutting the Golden Lions out. Trust me, I'm a huge fan of that club. I want to continue to cover that club, and I will continue to cover that club on this podcast. But Bluegrass Soccer Cast is going to be larger than just the Golden Lions. I want to talk about Lou City. I want to talk about Racing Louisville. I want to talk about Lexington Sporting Club, or whatever that title is, because I know I'm going to butcher it every single time. I want to talk about Lexington Sporting Club's women's team when they get that off the ground in the next year or two. And I want to cover the entire professional landscape in this state. So we're going to cover more than just the Golden Lions here. But that's not going to be the end of this podcast. I also want to talk about collegiate soccer. That is something that literally no one talks about. Like Google, pause the video, go on and Google search college podcast, or college soccer podcast, I should say. You're not going to find anything. Or if you do, it's going to be something with a very small amount of views. So I want to take all of the colleges, all of the universities in the state of Kentucky that have amazing talent and that win championships, and I want to showcase them on the national scale. But we'll cover more about that in another episode. So we're going to talk professionally, we're going to talk collegiately, and we're going to talk about youth soccer as well. I want to talk about the amazing high school teams that we have here in South Central and Western Kentucky specifically. Make sure you hit like, follow, subscribe on all of the social media on this video, and we will see you on the next one.